everybody, it's Sharon here. Welcome back to my channel for those who are returning, and welcome to any new subscribers that may be visiting for the first time. Just a quick intro for the part 2 video of my first design team project for at JunkWithSteph. I'm creating a journal cover for a journal using the Urban Angel papers from her Etsy shop, and I just wanted to again say a huge thank you to Steph for allowing me to join her design team and showcase her beautiful digital papers. I hope you enjoy, everybody. Okay, so I finished sewing those together. I really love the way they look. That middle lace is a little bit longer, a little bit wider, so it's poking out a little bit more, but that's fine. It can just do its own thing. Now, I have fussy cut a few little images, and I'm trying to decide how I'd like to attach them, but I think I'd like a little bit of a brown card border, and they're also a little bit flimsy, so I'm thinking actually I might be able to use my paper cutter. Isn't the most reliable tool I have, unfortunately. It tends to shred the paper a little bit more sometimes than it does cut, but I'm going to give it a go. Trying to work out roughly how much of an edge I would like around the outside of this. I'm going to cut it there, and then a little bit more, maybe say about there, and I might cut another one the same size because I don't know if I want to double this up. This is just a piece of craft cardstock that I have. I think it's relatively lightweight. I will check the weight for you. So this is the craft cardstock that I'm using. It's 220 GSM, and I picked that up in my local bargain buys, I believe. So I have 2 of those. Okay, and I may do the same with this one. I jinxed myself. I was just thinking, so far so good. Actually, it is a little bit rough around the edges. I don't tend to get a perfectly clean cut with this paper trimmer, which is one of the reasons I don't pull it out very often. Which is disappointing. Okay, so now I've inked around these images already, so I'm going to, I think I'll just use my art glitter glue, and I did leave the lid off my art glitter glue the other day. I need to work out which, I like that side up, so I may do these back to back. This surface here is a little bit coarser, a little bit rougher, so I feel like it might take the glue a little bit better. Yes, I believe I left the lid of my art glitter glue overnight. a couple of days ago, and I came into my craft space the next day and was doing a couple of things, and I actually had a pin on my desk, being this one, and I was like, why have I got that there? And then realized what I'd done, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I think I've got like 1/3 of a bottle of glue left in there. I was like, oh, please don't tell me I've wasted that. But I haven't. It seems to be okay, which was really surprising. So I've just got some untidy edges there that I need to trim off. They won't be exactly perfectly straight, but that's okay. And I need to tidy that little bit. I will ink this. All the way around. That frames that really nicely. So I'm going to glue that down. I haven't got a definite plan of how I want this to work, so I'm kind of winging it right now and hoping that it will come together okay. Fingers crossed. And these images that I'm using are the prints that I did 2 to a page of some of the ephemera. And I did look at the normal size images. I actually fussy cut this one, but it was just a little bit too big for my liking. I wanted to highlight some of the paper on the cover, but because it's featured throughout the journal, I just want it to be kind of a sneak peek, I guess, of what's inside. Don't want to give away too much too quickly. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for on the front cover. I may have to clean the lid of this glue. I'm thinking I'm kind of squeezing it fairly tightly to get the glue to come out, but at least it's flowing. That makes me really happy because I wasn't really sure that it would. Not perfectly lined up there again, but that's okay. What did I do with the bone folder? I put it away. Who knows whether this is going to end up straight once I cut these excess pieces off. We'll just hope for the best. I may have butchered this one, I'm not sure. We'll ink it up. The ink does really cover up a multitude of mistakes. Can I just say? Didn't come up too badly, I don't think. Love it. Okay. Oops. Oh my gosh, so pretty. Finishing that down, and then if I come back to my cover, oops. Don't know if I want that flower underneath. Kind of like that popping out the way it is. And I do want some of the detail of this to be showing. I don't want to cover up all of it. I'm wondering if I'd like this label on the front. And I need to ink. And maybe some thinking some cheesecloth, kind of my scissors are just showing how badly they cut. Okay. Maybe I need to do a border around that as well, just to make it fit in with everything else. Also, it does offer that bit of stability that I think it needs being on the cover. I'm just using the guides on my paper cutter to work out roughly where to cut. So when I line it up, I'm sitting it on one of these longer marks here, and then there's marks at the top here that show the 1/4 inch. Once I have it in place, I bring it across, and if I line this edge up with the last mark at the top there, then I'm getting roughly an even border all the way around. So, and then this one, I can just use this as a guide. Oops. Oh dear. Thought that had torn it then, but it didn't. Thankfully. Okay. Now, do I want to round the edges? I don't think I do actually. I think I'm going to leave it as it is. Glue seems to be coming out much better. Much better than it was a little earlier. So please let that be straight. Okay. I'm wondering if I'd like I like that, but because it's a flexible cover, I don't think it's going to... I was trying not to cover the flowers up. Maybe that can go up there. I think that's it. Okay, I might sew that lace down. I'll add a little bit of glue and then... So I'd just like some fabric glue. But I do want to make sure I'm roughly center. Which I seem to be. Big glue goober. I'm really just looking to hold this in place while I sew around it. Remembering that I haven't put the backing on, or the inside fabric on my cover, so I can sew it and then hide the stitches on the inside. I do want that to dry a little bit because that is quite tacky now. My stitching will need to come down here, so that's the edge of the envelope there. So I think I will zigzag around that. Okay, I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I've sewn around the edge of my lace just with a zigzag, and you can see the stitching on the inside there. And while I was off camera, I quickly cut out a cardboard backing. I've just done a single backing because it is going to be the underneath layer. And I just wanted to add a little bit of stability to that flower for once it's attached. So I'm just trying to work out my placement. Actually, I think I like that under there. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so So I'm going to glue this down. Now I do want to sew around the edge of this, so I'm hoping that this won't get in the way, but if it does, I will probably just sew through it. I'm thinking it will only be the very tip of the flower's edge on the right hand side that will be a possible problem. So I'm hoping it won't be. Now this fabric tack should hopefully give me a little, or fabric glue, sorry. I don't get fabric tack, I get fabric glue from Spotlight. I'm hoping it will give me a little wiggle room once I have this down. I'm happy with that placement. So I'm going to glue the, you could see all my stitching on the back of this. Aiming for a generous amount of fabric glue to hold this in place. And I'm just layering them on. I'm actually really glad that I put that layer of card around the flower. It just kind of brought it all together for me, and it's made that flower stand out. It just has given it that little bit of pop that it needed. Oops, I think I've partially closed that. Trying to remember where my placement was. So I see a little bit of this flower image at the bottom. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to some glue over there and then stick this on top. Okay, I'm just going to hold that in place. I may even make a little flower to go here. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll see how I go for time. I'm going to open this out now, and I need a piece of plain paper. So I'm just going to glue that down, and I will use the fabric glue. Oops. This is just to cover up the stitching on the inside because my calico can be a little bit see-through, and I don't want the stitching underneath to be a distraction on the inside cover. Okay. Don't think it's gone down perfectly straight, but that's okay because a piece of calico, which I've already pre-cut, is going to cover that over. So off camera I am going to sew that together. I'm thinking a zigzag around the edge, and I want to try and fray the edges a little bit more, but I will wait until I've stitched it to see where my stitching ends up, and that will let me know how much of a fray I can have. So I will take care of that, and then I will pop back on camera and show you the finished result. I'll see you shortly. Okay, I'm back again. So I've sewn around the edges of my cover, and I didn't realize that I'd actually sewn through my cheesecloth. I sewed around the inside first because I could see the envelope underneath the calico. So I kind of did it backwards or upside down, and that was when I caught my cheesecloth in the stitching, and then I turned it over and I went around it again right side up. So it actually has double stitching around the edges. The other thing I've done is I have frayed the edges of both fabrics as far as I think I would like them to be frayed. So I really love the way it's looking. And then when I put it down on my desk, I had it this way up initially, and I was like, I don't know if I want a pocket on the inside. And I remembered I had this lace here, and I'm thinking I would really like to sew that on the inside. Now I'm just looking for the other end because this end, it's a little bit wider here than further in, so I'm hoping the other end isn't like that. If I can find the other end. Here we go. It's tucked away on the inside. Just trying to make sure I have it the right way up. And I will pull it a little taut when I sew it down So I'm just going to sew it around the outside. I think I might cut it here and then I can trim off any excess when I'm done. I don't know how far I'd like to stretch it. And that will give me a decent width, I think, of a scrap to use in something else when I'm done. So I'm just going to lay that down roughly to cover the fabric. And I'm going to sew that around the edges. And then I am going to use my fabric glue and glue around between the two layers of fabric. So in between here, I will do that all the way around. And the other thing I was thinking about doing was adding a spine. So I have this lace here, which will coordinate with the lace that I'm putting in the inside as the pocket. And I thought that would be really pretty. Just trying to make sure I have it the right way around. It goes that way. Oops, excuse my arm. I think that would be really pretty wrapped around the edge, and I was contemplating putting a layer of calico under that. So let's just cut a piece of this because it's really hard to do anything with it while it's on the spool. Okay, and then I'm going to cut all the fraying. I do want this edge to be a little bit frayed because I think that would tie in with our layered piece here. So I'm going to trim that roughly the same length as my cover. I'm not sure I want it this wide though, so I need to look at that. And I do have a little frayed pulled thread, but it's not going to matter where I'm using it because it will be on the inside and it's not so noticeable, and I'm covering it over with the lace as well, so perhaps not that far. It's about there. Maybe I do need it to come around a bit further. Need some hands. Don't know where I'd be without my paper clips in my craft space. Okay, and then, so it's not the right width on the back, but I just want to see what it's going to look like with this lace over the top. Oh, I think I really like that. It kind of ties it all together for me. Okay, so thinking I may even just sew this on before I put the pocket on, I'm thinking. So I'm thinking I'll cut it out there. Okay, and I want to do a little fraying. Okay, now let me see. Sorry if I'm off camera. Just like that. I think I will sew that down as it is. Okay, I'm not going to add any glue, I don't think. I'm just going to get to sewing. Or do I want to add a bit of glue under here? I may just, I'm just looking at where the sewing is. I may just sew to here and leave this piece loose, I'm thinking. And then I can still get underneath to glue my two pieces of fabric together. And then if I decide I'd like some stitching further down, I can do that later, but I don't think I will. I may even trim it a little bit shorter, we'll see. So I'm just going to take that to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew that down, and then I'm going to do the pocket on the inside and I will be back. Okay, so I've sewn on my spine and I love it. There's no glue added. I've just sewn it on and it's really sturdy. And then I've added my lace to the inside. I have pulled it quite taut, so I'm just going to trim off the excess, hoping I can cut it relatively straight. Oops. Trying not to get my frayed edge. Wonderful. And once my signature is sewn in, that will be reasonably taut on both sides and be a nice little tuck spot to add different things. One thing I didn't think about when I was sewing this lace on was that I would sew through my cheesecloth again, but I'm not overly concerned. I might just add my fabric glue now. I do have to add the fray stop, and I won't do that on camera because it is a little bit fiddlier. I'm going to be kind of generous with this because I do have a fair overhang of the top fabric. I may end up catching some of my frayed edge on the bottom, but I think it will be okay. And this is really just to cover up the envelope so that you can't see the envelope underneath. so that's all glued down. Oops. The only thing left to do is to add the fray stop and leave it to dry. So I will do that off camera. I love it. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy with it. It feels amazing with that padding on the inside. It really adds that stability that I think it needs. Now I did have this little flower here that I made a little while back. I was thinking about adding that just there. I love that. I think I'm going to do it. And then my cover is done. I turned that around then because there's a slight separation in the petals just here, and I like that that shows the word journal a bit, whoops, a bit, I'm stuck to it a little bit better. Just hold that in place for a moment. I'm not sure if I'll need to add more glue now that I've lifted it away, but oh my gosh, I am so excited to have this cover finished, and I just love it. Love, 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 love. Okay, so what I'm going to do off camera is add the fray stop all around and leave it to dry, and I will probably get my signatures together, or signature together, and then I may create some of the ephemera on camera for it. So I really love it. I'm excited. I'm so excited with the way it's come out, and I love this. I love the textural feel of it and the visual effect. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me while I've put this together. I've had lots of fun. It's challenged me a little bit because I don't very often decorate the front of the cover, and I really love the way it's turned out. Steph's digital kit has just made it really pop. So I look forward to doing the rest of this journal, and I wanted to say again a huge thank you to Steph for allowing me to showcase her beautiful kit. I look forward to seeing you all soon, everybody. Happy crafting, and bye for now.